Want to see an unboxing of the Silhouette Auto Sheet Feeder and my first cut and thoughts? Then keep on watching. Hey y'all, Victoria Cherie here from Pretty Party and Crafty, and this is the Silhouette Auto Sheet Feeder. It comes in this basic box, nothing fancy, and just unbox it with me. So this is the bottom tray holder. We have our cords. We actually have two cords. So you have your power cord and then you have your USB cord. Now, technically, I feel it should have had two USB cords, and you'll see why in a moment. But yeah, you'll need those cords, don't lose them. And then you have the actual auto sheet feeder. And that's all that you have in this box. So you have a total of 4 items. Now, for this to work, if you don't have your USB cord from your Cameo or Portrait, you're going to need it. So the USB cord that it comes with, it's short, so you definitely will need your other USB cord. Again, we have our power cord that's going to connect to our Cameo. It's kind of like a split cord. You have the main piece and then you have the bottom tray. I'm going to flip my machine all the way over, but you don't have to. But what you're going to do is take the tray and you're going to add it to the bottom of the Cameo, and you're going to line up the hole and the square. And you'll just make sure it's pushed in nice and snug, and then you'll flip it back over. So again, you don't have to flip yours all the way over. You can just tilt it. Okay, next we're going to take the sheet paper feeder. And then we're just going to attach it to the top. So there are holes to put the pegs in. So all you have to do is just line it up. But before you do that, there are feet at the bottom. You want to flip that up if you're using this with the Cameo. Just flip those feet up. If you're using it with the Portrait, you do not have to do this part. So after you flip the feet up, then you're going to add it to the bottom tray of the sheet feeder. Now we're going to take our power supply cord. It looks split like this. That came with our sheet feeder, and we're going to plug it in. The short end is going to go inside of your Cameo. So if your Cameo is plugged up already, unplug it, and you're going to plug in the short end of our power supply cord. The long end you're going to plug into the auto sheet feeder. And now the power supply cord that's already plugged into your wall that you unplugged from the Cameo, that is going to be plugged into the third part of that supply cord. It's a lot, I know, but just trust the process. We're getting there. Next, we're going to take the short USB cord that came with our auto sheet feeder and plug it into the Cameo. The big end is going to go inside of the Cameo, and then the USB end is going to go inside of the auto sheet feeder. And next, you want to take your long USB cord that came with your Cameo or your Portrait. Hopefully you still have it. You're going to take the big end of that USB cord and plug it into the auto sheet feeder. The USB end, you're going to plug that into the computer momentarily. Not just yet, though. All right, so I just opened up Silhouette Studio. I brought in some images. It's PNG images so that it's already ready to cut. And right now I am about to plug the cord into my computer. Okay, USB connection detected. Auto sheet feeder A4 has been detected. Would you like to make this the active device? We're going to click on yes. All right, so now I'm going to do my page setup. So once I clicked yes, as you can see, it did remove my mat, because with the auto sheet feeder, it is matless. You are not going to use your mat. So I'm going to go to the top right corner. I'm going to make sure the registration marks are on first. So if you go to page setup, the third icon tab, you're going to click it, make sure registration marks are on. Okay, everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and print. I'm going to go to File, Print. We're going to select the Print button at the bottom. Your dialog box will pop up. I have 2 that pop up. I'm going to X this one out and I'm going to use this one. I'm going to select my printer. I'm using the EcoTank 8500. Preferences, I'm going to click it so I can make changes to my print settings. Okay, paper source, I'm putting this in cassette 2. Document size is letter, orientation, portrait, paper type. I'm changing that to photo paper glossy. Color, quality, you can set that to standard or high. Since this is a practice, I'm just going to leave it on standard. And the next step is optional. You don't have to do it. This is what I do to have bright, vivid colors. I click on the More Options tab. Under color correction, I select custom, then I click advanced. Under color management, I select color controls. Under color mode, I change that to Adobe RGB, and I change the gamma to 1.8. Once you're done, you'll just hit OK. You'll hit OK again. And then before you hit print, make sure you select the number of copies that you want. I'm going to do 3 copies, and then I'm going to hit print. All right, once I've printed it out, I'm going to go ahead and click on send in the top right corner. Okay, now this is my first time doing this, so we're going to see what I need to do. Okay, it says firmware update available, update now. So let me just pause this for a moment while I update. All right, so I just clicked the button to update my firmware, and now everything is ready to go. So I want to make sure that I set my material. So I do have a default setting that I have. So I do have a kiss cut material, and basically it's this right here. So now I am going to send to cut. So for my copies, I have 3 copies, so I want to make sure that I change that. So 1, 2, 3. So I have my 3 copies, and I'm about to get ready to hit send. Okay, it says you are sending a job with the A4 auto sheet feeder and Cameo 4. Would you like to view the auto sheet feeder loading guide? So let's go ahead and view this guide since it's our first time. Okay, so we already assembled it. All right, there are some additional steps. We need to pull out the paper tray, and we need to load the paper to the left side and also push it to the front. So taking an overhead view, this is our paper. We have 3 sheets. Let's go ahead and pull that paper tray out. So we're going to pull the paper tray out, and then we're going to get it loaded. When we load it, make sure you push the guide to the far left and push the paper to the front. Also, move that right roller to the center where the gray arrows are. You may need to unlock it, but after you unlock it, make sure you lock it back. You have to do this so it can hold the paper in place. Now, going back to the screen, it's going to give us a checklist to make sure we did everything we're supposed to. If we did, go ahead and hit send. All right, I'm going to speed this part up and talk about it, but this is the first pull in. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but when it pulled it in, it was kind of wrinkly, but it went back and kind of straightened itself out. It read the registration marks and it started cutting. So with the first pull in, if it looks wrinkly, just trust the process because it did straighten itself out. So there wasn't an issue with the first one. So I'm going to let this cut, and then I want to make sure that you still have time to see the second one. So that was the first one. It ejects it to the bottom tray. This is the second one. It pulled it in, tried to read, but then it spit it right back out. So it didn't cut my second sheet of paper, but the third one, it pulled it in and read the registration marks and cut beautifully. Now, the issue with this is that it only cut 2 out of 3. And when I tried to put the other sheet back in, hoping that it would cut the third sheet, it didn't. So it only cut the first sheet. The second sheet, it spit out. And then the last sheet, it did cut. And unfortunately, it didn't go back to try to cut that sheet again. All right, I just wanted to give you a close-up of where the paper ejects to once it's done cutting. So it doesn't actually hit your table. If you have the Cameo, it hits a tray. So there's a bottom tray underneath the machine that holds it. So if I were to score this, I'd give it about 7 out of 10. The reason why is because 1, you have to be connected to your computer or laptop with a USB cord. 2, you have to make sure that you have your Cameo's USB cord, or you'll have to buy another one because you need 2. Because you need 1 to connect to the auto sheet feeder, and then you need another one to connect your auto sheet feeder to your computer or laptop. And then the third reason why I got deducted because it did not cut my second sheet. But this would be perfect, especially if you have to make dozens of labels. You can just cut it out, remove the backing, and send that to your customer. So hopefully this was informational. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you learned something new or just want to keep in touch, make sure you subscribe, like, turn on notifications for more. Later, y'all.